Hello YouTube, we are back for another installment of Captain Aero. Now, this book, last upload, I performed a third aqueous bath with chloramine tea, soap, and methyl cellulose to try to bring some resilience back to this book, because it is very brittle. It does flake apart, as you can see. Every time something is performed on the book, more pieces flake off, and I am happy with the results. I could go further, but I am not going to go further. The back really came out better than the front of the back cover. Cleaned up nice. So what are we gonna do next? We're gonna leave it. We're not gonna subject it to another aqueous soaking. Sometimes you just have to keep what you have, and I'm happy with it. So my goal in this book is trying to conserve it, and by conserving it, I want to try to keep every little piece that is flaked off back to the book or on the book. These are giant chunks. CGC, if this fell off during grading, like my 4 colors 16 first appearance of Mickey Mouse in comics, they would just throw it out maybe. Only kidding. What I want to do is I want to glue it back on before we actually do the Tengojo treatment, because I have to reinforce this whole back of the book, because there's no way that this will survive if I don't do that, in my opinion. So in order to do that, we're going to reinforce the whole back, sort of like the witchcraft book that I did for Metarog, and that will make sure that the book stays, or at least the cover stays, in one piece. So what do we want to do? The first thing that I want to do before I do the Tengojo treatment is I want to glue these pieces on in the back, on the back cover. And like any puzzle, there's pieces that go on first, and I can tell right now that piece goes on first because there's white as part of the rip here. So we're gonna glue this piece on first. How are we gonna glue it? I'm gonna take it off, and then all I'm going to do with the book dry is I'm gonna take a fine artist's brush, very fine, and we're gonna use my methyl cellulose. And what I wanna do is I wanna just dip a little methyl cellulose onto the brush, and I want to paint. First I want to see where the piece lays. Okay, so what I want to do is I want to paint the perimeter of the area just with a little methyl cellulose. And this is not the repair that I'm doing that is going to keep it there. I am doing this just to keep it there, so when we do the major repair, hopefully we have a shot of keeping it in place nicely. So right there, to me, that looks pretty good. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna just do a little painting on the seam as well, just to keep it in place, so when we do our major repair of the Tengojo paper, it stays put. So that looks pretty good. I'm not gonna get it perfect. We try to get it perfect, but that looks good. So now what I wanna do is I wanna gently put some methyl cellulose on this seam, so we can put this Jitterbug dancing fool, see the Jitterbug? we can put his face back in place so it's there for future generations, for Mike to look at the book at his leisure. When he wants, he can thumb through it. That's one of the main reasons why we're doing things like this, to preserve these golden age gems for future generations. So there we go. We got Mr. Jitterbug in place. Let's try to get him a little tighter. And that looks pretty good. So we got that guy. Oop, I just moved everything, you see? Even the Jitterbug makes mistakes. And it doesn't help me that I am doing this. Usually I would get a little closer. And again, this is not the final repair. This is just a repair, a temporary repair, so I can have all these pieces in place. So hopefully I can reinforce it with the 10 Gojo paper. Bear with me. What I'm doing right now is I'm just going into my tool chest to get a piece of Rime. And I have a few sheets that I want to get rid of, because once they get old, you have to get rid of it because they start to lose their properties, which we don't like. So we got a piece right here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cover it just like that. And then what I'll do is I'll take a paper towel, put it like this, and then I'll put a piece of glass over it so it dries. And I'll put a weight on it when I'm done. So next what we have is we have these little guys here on the front cover. Now I'm going to try to glue them into place as with the other pieces, just so we are trying to keep as many of the pieces of this book as possible. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, but you know what, let's try. And again, this is just a temporary repair to put things in place so I could use the Tengojo paper in the back to reinforce the whole cover. And that will be the next segment, or maybe actually not, maybe I'll break it up depending on how long this guy is going. So right here, let's get another tool and let's try to push that in place. This is going to be a little more difficult. Okay, I'm going to pause the camera, guys, because I have to get in there deep. Okay, I'm back. So I got it in place, and I paused the camera because I had to get in there close, and we don't need to see the back of my head. We just need to see the finished product. So what I want to do is I want to press this down to get it into place. Put a little methyl cellulose there. And I'm going to do the same for this bottom piece. See, this little bottom piece I'm having trouble with. That looks pretty good. Maybe I don't need to hold it down. Maybe just the methyl cellulose alone will help me. Up. See, guys, it's not a perfect science. Hopefully that will work. And again, with the other repair, I will put a piece of Ramay over it. I will increase my value in my stock with Bounty. We'll put another piece here. And then I'll put a piece of glass over. And then, you know what, let's put some weight on it. 5 pounds on each. And then we're gonna let this dry. And hopefully the methyl cellulose temporarily connected or sealed the chunks off that fell off onto the cover. And if it did, that would be great. We'll flip it around and we'll start measuring the cover for the size, and we're gonna start putting it together with Tengojo paper reinforced on the whole back. So stay tuned.